face that you would see when you come into A&E. I'm the face that you see when you come into the hospital to have any sort of checkups or so forth. I'm currently on my GP rotation, so I'm currently working as a GP at the moment in sunny Essex. So that's pretty much a quick fire about me.
Thank you. Yeah, Lydia, I realized that's my bad. Okay, next, between Amari and Danielle, whichever of you would like to go first.
Ladies first.
Fine. Hello, everyone. My name's Danielle, as I've been introduced as, and thank you as well for inviting me to the panel. I'm a biomedical scientist. So that's, well, I work in biochemistry and as a biomedical scientist, and that's basically just testing patient samples and troubleshooting analyzers and doing those sorts of tests for functional tests such as liver, kidney, that sort of thing. So I basically support doctors. But yeah, that's it in a quick nutshell.
Thank you. And then finally, Mari, your last.
Yeah, happy Sabbath, everyone. So I don't work anywhere near the sciences. I am a business analyst and I work in the financial services industry. And what is a business analyst? So a business analyst is someone that works between the developers, computer developers, and the business, whatever business that is. In my case, it happens to be fund accounting. So fund accountants need various softwares and reports to do their work. And if they need a new report or a change to any of that, they need developers to make that. But they don't speak developer language, and developers don't really speak fund accounting language. That's why I come in, I interpret.
Thank you. And thank you also for making sure that you 30-second limit, because I know it's quite difficult to get everything you need to say within a very specific time frame. So I guess the first question, I'll allow whoever wants to go first to answer is, what exactly motivates you to want to do the career that you're actually doing at the moment?
Is it okay if I start?
Yeah, go ahead.
So when it comes to medicine, I realized from early that I was quite a nosy individual. I think it was one of the issues that my mother had with me when I was a young child. I'm the type of child who'd always be asking why. You know, she would go and ask me to wash my hands. I'm like, why? So I was always trying to find or understand the underlying reason as to why things happen. And I also had a love for biology and understanding the human body. So the amalgamation of the two kind of led me to medicine. And I think one thing I always tell people is that I really enjoyed watching Sherlock Holmes. The ability of him to be able to analyze somebody from the evidence that he's provided, and come up with a plan and execute that plan. And essentially that is what medicine is. You have a patient who comes in who has a particular related issue, and through your history, examination and assessments, you're able to identify the best way to go forward. So I think that's the thing that drew me towards medicine, really.
I'm not going to lie, I didn't expect you to say Sherlock Holmes, but interesting motivation. I like the fact that you mentioned that because you've always been quite, because I have 2 young children, I can really see the fact that when you have children, and you see what they could do for a living, but at the same time, you wouldn't necessarily know what it's going to be. I really like the fact that your mind essentially caused you to want to go into medicine. So let's go with Amari next.
Okay, so yeah, as I said, I'm a business analyst. So it actually follows in the pathway of my degree somewhat. But how I actually got onto business as a degree subject is interesting. That wasn't always the plan. So I'll go back to secondary school. So it's a long way back now. Secondary school, had an idea of what I wanted to do. I wanted to go into law, then I wanted to go into computing, and then I took computing and I hated it, and then I had no idea what I wanted to do. So I took a gap year and was just floating. But then someone picked me up, and I don't know if anyone remembers Connections. Goodness, going way back here. But anyway, this lady works at Connections, and she basically took me under her wing, and she put me on this aptitude test. And in this aptitude test, it basically read me and provided different pathways that might be suited to me. And so I was reading through this. I was like, oh yeah, I never thought of that before. Never thought of that before. Never thought of that before. And that's how I ended up in business. So I studied business and history at undergraduate level, and then innovation strategy and organization again at business. That's business at master's level. And I walked after that. I started this job. So that's it in a nutshell. Yeah. So that'd be my response for that.
Okay, and Danielle as well. What was your motivation for becoming or going to biomed?
So like most people that study biomed, is because you wanted to study medicine, but you may have not gotten in first time. And it was completely an accident, to be honest. I applied for medicine in sixth form and I didn't get in, but I applied for biomedical science at the same time. So I went and did that. And then a biomedical scientist is a protected title. So you have to complete a portfolio and a year of training to actually become a biomedical scientist, even when you do the degree. And what I always advise people is do a placement year if you actually want to become a biomedical scientist, because placement years and training posts are very like far few and in between. And people that graduate 4 or 5 years, they're still waiting to do their registration portfolio. So when I was in my second year, I just said to my housemate, "Oh, should I apply for the placement year?" And she said, "Oh yeah, you have nothing to lose." So I did it, and then I did my registration portfolio, and then as soon as I finished like my last exam, I got a job, and then I like went off and I just started doing it, and I'm just in it now. But I think I would change eventually, but at the moment I'm here having a good time.
That's good to hear. I think one thing I found that resonated with both Mari and both of your experiences, not to say that Quatin's experience is bad, but it's the fact that you guys didn't know what you wanted to do. And I feel like many a times with young people, it's a case where, they've gone through GCSE, they've gone through A level, they built a picture. You know what? I see myself, I don't know, becoming a doctor. I see myself becoming an accountant. And then somewhere along the lines where they get maybe into their first year of university, they think to themselves, you know what? I don't really want to do this anymore. I mean, the money at the end of it is probably going to be great. But I don't really see the benefit of it at this moment in time. And it's interesting because, many a times you'll think to yourself that, okay, this career is for me because it has all of these different things to offer. But only when you get a bit of a taste of the career, that's when you actually understand. And I guess it's better to get a taste of it before you actually start working the role and, at any later point in time. So that's also actually one of the reasons why I decided to do this event. I've spoken to quite a lot of young people, and it's a case where they finish their degrees and then they're just stuck. Like, okay, you know what? I need to get a job. I need to pay off my debt, but at the same time, a job that actually is fulfilling and it actually makes me interested. And I think that's one thing that's really interesting about what, and even what Quatin said as well, is the fact that you really looked at what's your, I guess, what was really inquisitive, something that you're really inquisitive about very young in your life to be able to actually put yourself in a particular position to actually go into your respective careers. As a follow-up question, I want to ask each of you. So I guess I'll start with so my dad is actually worked in biomed, and funny enough, my cousin actually wanted to do a career in that, but unfortunately, she decided, I don't want to do it anymore because of this and that, etc. So I guess the question I want to ask is, what advice would you have for somebody that genuinely wants to do the role, but then they just don't like the motivation? What would you say to keep them going, to want to actually? I can tell it's a question that it's quite difficult for you to answer, but what I don't know. If you give maybe 2 or 3 pieces of advice, what advice would you give?
Yeah, so with this career, there's a lot of hoops that you have to jump through to keep climbing. And I would say put in the work early, don't delay any like training. So basically, the career progression is you do your degree, you do a registration portfolio, you do a specialist portfolio. You can either do a higher specialist or you can do a master's, and then that will take you to band 7 with all those qualifications. So you start at band 5, band 6 is a specialist. To get to special, sorry, to get to band 6, you got to do the specialist. To get to band 7, you've got to do a master's or a higher specialist portfolio. I would say that you do all of that straight away. Just do it all straight away as soon as you can. And then you can kind of just sail through it. I would say that, yeah, I say that's my biggest piece of advice, that don't drag it out, because you can get comfortable and then it can get a bit long, but like just do things from early, like to just keep you ticking and to keep you learning. Because if you decide actually I'm going to wait for a bit, and then you decide that you want to do, there's this woman at my workplace, and she started her specialist portfolio, she went and had a baby, and now she can't be bothered. But if she leaves, she won't be on the same banding as she is now, because only recently they've gotten a bit strict with you having to do your specialist portfolio and you actually being able to be a band 6, whereas people used to get hired off of experience. But now it's like, okay, if you don't have a specialist, you can't be band 6. If you don't have a master's, you can't be band 7. So I would say that do it while your brain is quick and you're ready to learn and you're fairly new to it. You just keep ticking. And also it helps you to understand why you do what you do if you keep trying to learn. Because I would say when I first started, I didn't really understand what I was doing. I'm very good at like recalling information, or just you tell me to do something and I can do it. That's fine. I have no problem with that. But when I'm going to validate patient results, and for example, they have, I don't know, let's do something easy, like I'm not saying I didn't know what this was, but say they have like a high glucose, and I'm like, oh, why would I telephone that? What effect does it have on the body, etc., etc. Like when you continue to progress early, it will help you to enjoy what you do. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Okay, that's interesting. So essentially, the way biomed works is that it's not a case where you can just stop and start. You need to actually really follow it through right here, right now. And it's also a case, like you kind of really highlighted, if you intend to do it, you know, you need to basically do it from when you're young, because older, and obviously if you have loads of different responsibilities, it's not something you can just pick up and drop as and when you please. Interesting, it's interesting. Okay. I didn't even know that, even though that's something that my dad works in. But it just goes to show that, you know, every single career has a different way and method of looking at different things. But to be honest, it is something that should be universally across the panel for all careers. But of course, you know, something to do with medicine, I understand why it's more thorough in that sense. So I guess the next question I wanted to ask was for Mari. So for Amari, I know your career is something that's probably more widely advertised. I know a lot of people want to usually go to like finance analysts, maybe business analysts, etc. What I wanted to ask is, what is the, I guess you could say, the proper process of being able to make sure that your job that you're trying to become a business analyst?
Can you repeat the question?
Okay. So essentially what I was asking is, what is the best process for you to have or put in place to make sure the best analyst you can be?
Okay. So I had this discussion with one of my manager's manager when I just started, and I asked a similar question to him when we were having that meeting. And he said, there's 2 things you need to succeed here. One is understanding and developing your BA skills. And number two is developing your knowledge of the industry that you're in. So the industry that I'm in is fund accounting. So therefore, having those two would elevate me above someone who just had either fund accounting knowledge or just business analyst knowledge.
Okay. Well, quickly wanted to, because I know fund accounting is a very niche thing. Mind just explaining that just a bit further? Because I know a lot of people obviously heard of the conventional accounting where, you know, you do profit and loss and that stuff. But fund accounting is something that is very, it's not easy to pick up and understand. Do you mind just explaining the concept of fund accounting?
Okay, so you have retail banks and you have these trust and investment banks. And the difference is that these trust and investment banks deal with high value individuals and large corporations. So they deal with figures, numbers with a lot of zeros after them. And there's a lot of admin involved in this. And one part of that admin is accounting. So whereas, you know, you might have just a single organization and you might have an accountant. For funds, there's so many figures, there's so much going on that you need a whole range of fund accountants to administrate the fund. So fund accountants are you usually have a team of them for each particular fund, because there's a lot of work to do on each one.
Okay. Thank you. I'm going to go to the person that's just joined, but before I go to them, Kwarteng, so I've got a question for you. Probably you're not going to expect this question, but I've got a question nonetheless. So I noticed that you decided to be part of a TED Talk, and obviously that shocked me quite a bit because it's not necessarily probably something that's really part of your degree. What was your motivation for deciding to go on a TED Talk about essentially, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, about the depression that what do you call it, mental health that men go through?
So my reason, well, you've done your research. So my reason for that particular TED Talk is because going through medical school is very common with you know, people who do the medical degree. You can experience quite a period of low mood, and for a long period of time, which in, you know, clinical terms will be deemed as depression. I had a stint of it, like coming towards the end of my degree, where I just felt that a lot was going on, you know, both inside university and also outside university. But I was privileged enough to be able to have friends around. So I lived in a house of 3 other housemates. And fortunately enough, I was in the position where they helped me when I couldn't help myself. And I was able to speak to them and be completely, you know, transparent with them as well as a result of that. And I think looking back and reflecting, I was like, you know what, not a lot of people or not a lot of male figures have the ability or the environments which allows them to do something like that. You know, we always, as men, we're always told to kind of suck it up, you know, just be a guy kind of thing. So also coming to that realization, and knowing that I was privileged enough to not be in that position, I just thought that it would be a good way to vocalize my thoughts to others so that they can, you know, create the space or the environment in which, you know, men who are going through, or male figures who are going through low moods or going through depression or any sort of mental health related issue are able to, you know, come out and express that without having result to quite tragic ways of dealing with depression, such as self-harm or even suicide. So that's what really led to me doing that TED Talk, because I was able to speak to people within Imperial as well, who would commonly experience these sorts of symptoms or these sorts of issues, and, you know, get that TED Talk would probably be the best platform in order to achieve that.
Thank you for sharing that part. And I think it's really interesting because one thing I always say to a lot of people when they go to university is try to take advantage of every single opportunity. And I like the fact that you decided to say, you know what, I've seen this platform, I'm going to take advantage of it. And when I think back on, when I went to university, when a lot of people in my year went to university, there was something that was readily available for everyone who didn't take it. That was an opportunity to study abroad. And to me, I thought to myself, I get to study in another country. It's cheaper. I get to experience the culture. Why not take it up? And what was so crazy is that there was only 3 people in the whole of my course that actually did it. And everyone looked at us and said, oh, we should have done it as well. But I think to myself, they told you about it well in advance. Why didn't you take advantage? In fact, you would have saved money because it was in Malaysia. But what was crazy is that from that experience, not only was I able to experience another culture, but it was also a case where the people that were actually teaching us in Malaysia were actually doing a better job than the people in the UK. So they probably would have actually got a better grade at the end of it. And I think it's really important for you to take initiative and take advantage of any opportunity. And a really big kudos to you to take advantage of, especially since it's still a very serious issue today in terms of not really being able to express themselves quite a lot. I know obviously just because of the fact that man just basically taking all their feelings. But before we go into any other questions for you guys, I know that another person's joined. So just like I did for you guys, I'm gonna give Mame an opportunity to just introduce herself in just 30 seconds. I know obviously it's quite difficult, but to introduce yourself in just 30 seconds. And then after that, we'll just continue with maybe just one more question. And then I don't know if anyone on YouTube has put forward a question, but if not, we will just continue with more. I'm giving you this opportunity. Just let us know if you rather actually just introduce yourself in just 30 seconds.
Okay, thank you. Hi guys. Happy Sabbath and good afternoon. My name is Mame Benko. Sorry, I'm so used to introduce myself as Mame Benko at work. So Mame Benko. I'm 26-year-old. I'm an F2 Foundation 2 doctor, currently working in A&E. It's hard to introduce myself. I'm a doctor. I'm a business owner. I'm very big on medical education, content creation, fighting for medical diversity and equity. I'm very interested in finances and property as well. I'm very chilled. I'm very open. Always happy to give people advice because I believe that so many of the things I've been through in my life weren't just for me, but it was to show people that no matter what you've come from, no matter your circumstances, that if God has a plan for you, then whatever his plans are, whatever his way is, will always prevail. I'm a very strong believer in people taking accountability and manifesting the life that they want to live. So yeah, I'm always happy to do these talks. And if you have any questions, then do let me know. It's a difficult career to be in, but it's one that I'm navigating through the help of God. And I feel like if I've been able to achieve what I've achieved, then there's nothing that's too big for any of you guys to achieve. So yeah, that's me. I hope that was 30 seconds.
I don't think it was 30 seconds, but to be honest,
sorry.
It's just great that you could share your experience in such a short period of time. So another question I just wanted to ask everyone, just generally is, obviously this is probably a question you have to really think about a lot. If, I don't know, tomorrow you were made redundant from your position and it was a case where, it caught you by surprise, you didn't know what to do, would you say without, I can see that you're so silent, would you say with a certainty that you would still stick in your career? Like, is it something you're genuinely passionate about? Or is it a case where, when all falls and when all crumbles, you basically say, you know what, pack my bag, I can see myself making more money in this career. I'll leave the floor for whoever wants to be brave enough to answer that question first.
I'd leave. I'd be gone. I'd be out. I don't really, like I said, it was, Mame wasn't here before. I'm a biomedical scientist. It was an accident. So, so because it was an accident, but the thing is, the reason why I haven't left straight away is because I want to make sure I suck all the information out of it first, because I've ended up here, as Mame said, for a reason. Do you know what I mean? I've met loads of different people, and like God has been able to use me to reach people that had left the fold. I'll give you an example. When I first started in my first job, actually, there was a young man and he was saying, oh, like, I'm just he wasn't like Adventist or anything. He was just a Christian, well, ex-Christian. And he was just saying, no, I'm just like a dog returning to my own vomit. And we were just talking and just having lots of open conversation, talking about diet, talking about drinking, all sorts. And then I left, and maybe a few months later, he messaged me and he was like, I just want to let you know. And I was praying for him as well. He didn't know I was praying for him, but I was praying for him because I had some bad dreams about him, and I knew that even though he didn't say it to me, I knew he was suffering from depression. So I was praying for him, and then he messaged me a couple months later and said, like, I just want to let you know that I've given my life back to Christ. And it was just so powerful for me because I actually cried because I was like, I'm not even here to do this job. I'm just here to reach people that either have just gone away or people that don't know him. And your life is an example. So I would leave because I really don't care for a job. Do you know what I mean? I just think that job for me is just to get money and to get information at the moment. And then outside of work, I'm happy with my life outside of work because I know that work is not everything. So it doesn't really matter to me whether they were to say, oh, you've been made redundant, see you tomorrow, like get out of here. I'll be like, okay, bye. Like, I'm not stupid. I can go and get another skill. It's okay. So yeah, I'd be gone. Yeah.
Interesting. I don't know who's going to follow up, but I feel like Amari wants to go next.
Yeah, I'll chip in. I resonate with Danielle a lot, like, because life is bigger than your career, and God's purpose for you is bigger than your career. It's not all about money, and what Danielle brought up was so powerful. We've been put on this earth as salt and light, and whatever context that's in, you know. You try to think, what is your plan for me? Well, number one, he's already told you, your plan is to be salt and light. That could be where that is specifically you want to ask God about. But if I was to be made redundant as a business analyst, which, by the way, was a very real possibility in 2020, 2021, because I'm working as a contractor, and contractors during the pandemic were just cut. A lot of the people I started with were just gone. It's only by the grace of God I'm still there. Like, I know my happiness doesn't depend on being a business analyst in this particular position. I would I wouldn't mind going in a completely different direction, and I wouldn't mind going in the same direction. But the first thing I would do is go to God and say, okay, God, what next? So that would be. I have more to say on that, but I think I'll leave it to the next person.
Okay, thank you. Who wants to go next? Okay.
I don't mind going next. Yeah. I think if my job made me redundant, I don't think I'd go back. I think I've reached the point in which mentally and physically I'm done. But I think that I will never stop being a doctor. I'll never stop caring for people because that's where my purpose is. But if it's to do with money, then the NHS already doesn't pay enough. I'm not getting enough as a doctor for what I do, if I'm very honest. So I think I will chase purpose. And what many people tend to forget is, like, God's word for movement, God's word for your journey just never stops. It's a continual thing. Like, even in the Bible, there's so many times he tells people to, like, leave where they're from. They leave, but then he continues to direct them on where to go, or sometimes he changes the plan. I feel like so many of us, we're still following a word God has given us about 5 years ago, and we're finding ourselves very complacent, very stagnant. We're not moving. But God's direction, of course, for our life is an ongoing thing. And I think, yes, once upon a time, God put it in my heart to be a doctor, but now things have changed. Like, I think, especially in the world that we're in right now with social media, the world is honestly our oyster. And I think sometimes when God puts something in your heart, I know mine is to serve people. Initially, it was serving people in a medical way, but now I know as I'm getting older, my service has come in the form of like education and empowerment. So they should even make me redundant tomorrow. I don't care, because I know that wherever passion and purpose is, that God will take me there. And when you find yourself passionate about something, naturally you work to the highest level of it. And that's where the money comes. I think money always follows purpose, but it's about following purpose first. So yeah, NHS, let me go. I'm ready. I'm out. I'm ready to go.
Please don't put on the Amazon, Mama. This is being streamed to YouTube. Quante.
We've had it with NHS. 100%. We've had it.
Yeah, I think I would agree. Yeah, I probably wouldn't be a doctor full time. I'll probably maybe do some bank shifts here and there. And the reason for that is I think with medicine, the unfortunate thing is that a lot of people tend to make the decision of medicine quite early on, because it requires a lot of preparation. So, you're making these decisions when you're what, 16, 17, 15 even, because, you made that decision early so that you can put things in place and ensure that you get into the universities, or, get to do the degree that you want to do. So as a result of that, you don't really get the opportunity to explore yourself, and explore other things that you are interested in. And I think, as Mama said, you may have had a call-in 5 years ago, but I don't think you have just one call-in. You may have different call-ins for different seasons. So I think personally, if I had given myself a bit more time, I probably wouldn't have ended it up into, doing medicine. I probably would have done something with technology. And the reason for that is because I really enjoy creating stuff. I was teaching myself Python quite some time ago, and I really enjoyed the idea of, like, for instance, even something such as a drinks dispenser that we normally, I don't know what you call it, for lack of a better word, the soda machines that we usually have in like different shops and stuff. I was set a task, like part of the program that I was doing, I was set a task to kind of create the interface in which, somebody would come, pay with their money, and the machine or the computer or the code is able to assess how much inventory is left over and see if it's sufficient enough to give the person a drink or make a coffee or whatever it is. I had the job of doing that, and there was such fulfillment in achieving that. I was like, damn, like I really wish I had experienced this way back, because maybe my whole trajectory would have changed. But nonetheless, I think there's a reason why I'm in medicine now, and there's a reason why I didn't experience what I experienced then. Like, I didn't experience coding at that time, for instance. But once you come to, it's questions like this that really remind you that, what, maybe let me not be complacent in where I am, in the field that I am. Maybe there is other parts to me that I need to explore as well. So again, thank you very much for that, Kingsley. It's a reminder that, medicine is not the end all be all. There are other parts to us that we need to also explore. So I think, yeah, if I was made redundant, yeah, NHS, as my mayor said, NHS do not pay you enough, honestly. So I most definitely will be leaving. And I would, if I'm coming back either doing bank shifts, locums, or some sort of private work, because that's when they pay you your actual worth. So yeah, I'll be out. Goodbye, NHS.
I love the transparency. Obviously, I mean, maybe be careful about hitting the NHS down so hard, because it's already suffering as it is.
No. Let's look. Even me for being transparent, we have to say it as it is. Like, I think, to be honest, if you look at the other infrastructures in different countries, you can see, the amount that they are paid. And we're not, like, we don't do medicine. Doctors don't do medicine for the sole purpose of getting money, because it's a long process. And trust me, if you're in it for the money, I have friends who have done a 3-year course, are currently on 80K. So it's not a case of me like, oh, well, I'm doing medicine because I want to get money. Otherwise, Charlie, you're in the wrong position. But at the same time, I think the difficulty with, you know, us doctors, we don't want to scream and shout so much that we want to get paid our worth, because we know that at the end of the day, the NHS is a free service at the point of call. And, you know, in order for it to be free and open up to the public, somebody needs to take that cut, or somebody needs to take that. But unfortunately, it shouldn't be, but unfortunately, it ends up being the doctors or the nurses or the healthcare professionals that are working in those industries. So yeah, it is difficult, but it's something that we're all aware of. We probably weren't aware of it when we're making a decision to do medicine. Maybe if we did, it may have, you know, altered our choices a bit. But at the end of the day, it's where we are. We have to make the best of what we've got. So yeah, we love NHS, but you know, there still needs some improvement.
Thank you, Amari.
Yeah, as you were talking there, I thought of a story which, a personal story, which would actually illustrate a response to the question. And I don't know if anyone's, you know, asked God, what do you want me to do? Where do you want me to go next? So I'd been asking God this, and I haven't really told many people, maybe one or two people this. But anyway, I'm going to tell you guys. So I asked God, and he seemed to be pushing me in the direction of, okay. And I was just thinking, do you of mission? That is to say, being a missionary. So I was thinking, okay, like, do you want me to be a cross-cultural missionary, go like far away, like Malaysia or someplace, and do that? Because and you know, the idea sounded very exciting. You know, just I've already left one country, by the way. I haven't mentioned that. You can probably tell from my accent, hopefully. I'm a Londoner, but I currently live in Ireland, in Limerick. So I've already moved country once, and you know, another country would be exciting. You know, be an adventure. But I wasn't going to make any decisions until God made it clear. And in any case, two things happened during the pandemic. Two very clear signs happened during the pandemic, which made it very clear to me where God wanted me to be. And one was, there was a person, I'm going to try and keep this as anonymous as possible, that got in touch with our church from the local community. And this person, so I kind of look after the church's Facebook page, and they reached out to the Facebook page, and they got in touch, and we're connected with them, and lo and behold, they had a whole lot of issues. The story of how they got into our church is amazing. They were feeling suicidal, and they went out into a field, and they were going to end it all, but a text came to this person's mind saying, "My grace is sufficient for you." And after that, they got in touch with the church, and ever since then, I've been in touch with this person, and then that person introduced me to their sibling, who was, if you thought this person was in a bad situation, the other person, the sibling, was also in a very bad situation. And in my heart, I was like, I can't just drop these people and go. God's obviously placed me here for them in their lives. So that situation is ongoing, but it was a very clear sign to me that, okay, you don't have to, if you know, you don't, to be a missionary for God, you don't have to go far across the world. You can be a missionary right where you are. But you know, if God said, okay, right now it's time to just up sticks and go, you know, I'd be happy to do that.
Thank you for sharing. I like the fact that all of you have been very transparent. I mean, it's not like I actually expect you to be, but I like the fact that you've been transparent. You've decided to just say, you know what, I'm just gonna answer your questions as is. And obviously, I'm hoping that no one takes away the don't go to NHS thing a bit too far. But it is really interesting. It is really it is something that's really bringing a lot of thought, because many a time I think when people think of their purpose in their career, they always think that they're intertwined. And they always have this idea that, you go to school for however many years you go to school for, you get into a specific career, and essentially you're working at and career till you die. That's essentially what we're made to believe, where, I don't know, we'll be a doctor till we die, be an accountant till we die, be a biomedical microbiologist till we die. But the irony of it is that the purpose should be able to evolve, regardless, depending on your circumstances, and also if you actually still see yourself doing it at a certain point in time. Because at the end of the day, life is full of various different experiences. Why go any further, let Danielle have the floor to say her point.
Yeah, I just wanted to say as well, I know this might sound like it's going a bit off, but I would say, not that I want to tell my mum what to do or whatever, but I would say if I had a redo in life and I went from being a baby again, and my mom could raise me again, I would be the voice in her head that would tell her to nurture me more than the schools. And she did. And I don't mean like, my mom didn't care. I mean, my mom helped me with schoolwork. She got me tutors, she was very like on it like that. But I find the education system here, this is probably a whole other topic, but I find the education system here very limiting, and not just limiting in what they teach you, but limiting in how they teach you to think. Because at the end of the day, they just want you to get into a job to help somebody else to make money. They don't tell you what to do practically to make your own money, or to think for yourself. So I would definitely say that people watching this should start reading a lot, researching things, reading books, just expanding your mind, and just, and especially reading the word as well, because the word helps you to know that life is not black and white. Just because you go to school for 16, 18 years and you're following this way, just because you go off onto different sides, if you don't go to uni, if you go and do an apprenticeship, if you don't do either, if you go and do something else, it doesn't mean that that you're not successful. It just means that your lot is something else. So yeah, I just wanted to say that.
Thank you very much for that point. As much as you may think that point is relevant, is very much relevant, because I think many a time, even when we look at the Bible, we can think to ourselves, I know Genesis 1 verse 1 at the back of my hand. The moment that you said that about anything in life, you automatically fool yourself. You can't ever assume you know everything about one particular topic. Your mind has to always be in a constant process of being able to adapt and be able to be willing to be used, by the Spirit of God, to be used in whatever capacity it is. But thank you very much for that point. Amy, you have something to say?
Yeah, I was just going to say, sorry, can you hear me? Yeah, I was just going to say that, what I say is not to put anyone off pursuing a career in the medical field. I think, just echoing off what Danielle said, we're all very fortunate to be in a era in which you're not only tied to your career. And as Patton said, if I could do life again, I don't know if I'll do medicine, but I'm also very fortunate I can do it. But we were very influenced by our parents to just go straight to uni and then follow a career. Whereas now, you honestly, like, the world is your oyster. You can do coding courses online, marketing, entrepreneurship courses. We're just saying, don't be so tunnel visioned into doing one thing. Like, use your talents. Even there's that parable in the Bible of the master that gave his servants different talents, and one of them hid it, and then the other one was able to double it. And it's crazy because essentially their 9 to 5 was to be a servant, but then they also had other talents or other opportunities in order to grow or harness those talents. And for the slave who was then able to double his talent, the master was able to give him more. So sometimes God doesn't only put one thing into you. He gives you so many other skills and attributes that you'll be able to harness now, especially in today's society, using courses, using networking, that will even make you a better doctor, a better accountant, a better entrepreneur, will give you the skills in order to create your own clinic. So honestly, you guys have so much power now. I wish I could go back and learn how to code, plumb, be an accountant and be a doctor all at once. But that's very difficult for me now. But you guys are so fortunate enough to literally be at a crossroads with so many different paths. So yes, if you still want to follow the traditional route and be a doctor, but on the side, be the best coder, entrepreneur, photographer ever, because I believe that God wants a life of abundance for us, and he's made us very multifaceted for a reason. So I don't mean to put you off the NHS, but I'm just saying, don't let the NHS be your life. Like, your life, your purpose is a lot bigger than this, and you're equipped with so much more than to provide a service to the NHS. Take your skill, your talent, and your passion global, and just pour your heart into everything you do, basically. Yeah.
Thank you. I like that, because essentially you're trying to say that it's always about making sure that you're always evolving to whatever it is that you're doing. And many a time, even if you look at it, well, I can speak from my own experience in church. I mean, naturally speak, I'm a shy person. I wouldn't have thought to myself I would be that person that would be in the choir, maybe preaching somewhere, maybe leading out Sabbath school. And the irony of it is that all these skills you gain in church, as well as all the skills you get in life, if you actually really look into it properly and you look at it from an employable perspective, even if you wanted to create a business, you realize that you can actually do a lot more than whatever your 9-to-5 job is. And it's really interesting that you've all brought this up, because I think many a time, like Mami rightly said, our parents have told us, you know what, you're going to be a doctor, you're going to do this, and then we think to ourselves, you know what, this is my area of room. I can only become a doctor. But then the moment that something else comes in your way, it's almost as if it's a distraction. But the irony of it is that God has called us all to do multiple different things. It's just about us being willing to actually put in those different categories of doing different things. So I'm going to ask a question that I think Kamari probably saw coming. Why did you decide to move to Ireland? I have to really ask that, because
it's actually very simple. It was not that complicated. So the company that I contract with has got clients all over Europe, and so I could have been placed anywhere in England, but I could also choose to be placed anywhere in Europe. It just so happened to be Ireland, and that's where I've been. It could have been France, actually. I was on my way to France, but that didn't work out, so Ireland.
Okay, fair enough. I thought there was a more complicated reason to it, but fair enough.
No, I was young, and I guess let me say I'm still young, but I was younger, and I was like, yeah, wherever, let's explore this planet that we call planet Earth. So I was hoping, I was initially, to go to somewhere where I can understand other people. That came true, but now I understand. They speak English, but it's a very, you have to get used to the accent anyway.
So I can understand. I've watched enough people on what you call that from Ireland and everything. It's not an easy dialect to be able to pick up. You have to sometimes listen once or twice. But obviously, I can hear the fact you've got an Irish accent. But of course, obviously, I know you're London at heart, so the accent isn't.
You're breaking my heart. Oh my days! Did you say I have an Irish accent? Stop
A
that.
bit, you can hear the slight tinges of it, but I know you're obviously a Londoner. So Danielle, you put a very interesting quote inside the chat, but I feel like you should probably mention the quote that you've actually put out loud.
I didn't want to put my hand up again, but just on the back of what Mame was saying about in the Bible, it reminded me of this verse basically that says, invest in seven ventures, yes, in 8. You do not know what disaster may come upon the land. And that's from Ecclesiastes 11 verse 2. And it's just basically saying, like, don't just be tunnel vision, like she said. Do other things. I don't need to expand on it. I think she just expanded. I just gave the Bible verse that I just backed that up. But that was it. Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned it, because the fact that the Bible says that, and we probably don't really know that, is something that's quite serious. So I guess as the final question that I want to ask you all is, I guess, linked back to the Bible. How much of an influence would you say your faith played in terms of helping you pick the career you're in today?
Can I go first?
Yep, go ahead, Quentin.
Sorry, because I'll need to leave after this, so I just thought that I will just say this quickly. So I think I think that my faith hasn't been I don't know, changed in the the classic way that we always speak about in church. But I think medicine has been definitely a helping point in my Christianity. Not so much my Christianity helping my medicine, but medicine helping my Christianity. Now, I think we all have been in multiple cases where we've gone far away from God. We're looking for ways to come back, but we're a bit too proud to come back by ourselves. And then God's like, okay, if you want to do that, that's cool with me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a bit of hardship, something to, spin the block a bit and be like, yes, this thing's a bit techie right now. So I need to definitely go back to God because God's the only person that will be able to help me in this situation. And I had multiple, experiences such as that in medical school. And through that process, my relationship with God was strengthened. I remember second year is always the horrific year in any degree that you do. Is completely crazy because you go from being spoon-fed, they dangle the carrot in front of your eyes in the first year, get you all nice and warm, like, oh, yes, I can do it. And then second year is like, oh, sorry, this is what university is really like. So yeah, I really felt into a really dark place. And I felt like, this is not for me. Medicine is not for me. I'm going to fail. I'm going to flop. And God really pulled through. And it was instances such as those that really reaffirmed, one, the decision that I'd made to follow God. And number two, the faith that I had in him. Because there were times where this is it, that I'm done. The medicine is not happening. This exam, I flopped it. I know I definitely flopped it. Like I've seen memes where people, they at the end of exams, people are like, oh, what number did you get? Or what answer did you get? Somebody would say 1, or somebody would say 2, somebody would say 3, and somebody would be like, oh, I got A. And that was not even an option. And I was in certain situations such as that, and it was only God that was able to help me get through the stage that I was at. So I think definitely it's through the different hardships that I experienced whilst doing medicine that helped me with my faith. Yeah. I think somebody asked me a question. You said,
Yeah.
Kingsley?
So quickly, just because I know you said you need to go, just before you go, I'm going to ask a question for you. And the question is, do you think the new skills that you developed outside of your career, like programming, for example, or social media, can help you develop your role within medicine?
I think definitely. I think how life is going right now, everything is becoming digitalized, and I think having an individual who's working in a particular department who has the skills set to help develop that area. So yes, I'm a medic at heart. Like that's the primary me. But if I have the skills that will help improve the department that I'm within, definitely I find it useful. And I think everybody knows that medtech is blowing nowadays. We're always, as humans, we're quite lazy individuals, always find more efficient ways to do certain things. So I think definitely technology is going to play a massive part in it. I haven't fully committed yet. I'm still, dabbling in it, seeing where it will take me, and if it's truly what God's calling me to do. But it's always nice to pick up some skills. I'm the type of person that would just pick up a skill just because, oh, this sounds cool, this sounds interesting, and then you see where it goes from there. So I think definitely learning skills that are going to be useful in the department that you work in is very, very much key. But it's identifying what those skills are, and making sure that you're not taking time away from your primary goal, which of course in my case would be medicine, and focusing on something that's secondary, because at the end of the day you still have lives to save. I still need to be a doctor. So yeah, it's balancing the two, but it's with practice that you achieve that balance.
Thank you, Quentin. Thank you. And thank you very much for joining us. I know obviously you were on the program for very long, but I believe your contribution was very much felt by not just me, but I'm pretty sure by all the different panelists. So thank you very much, and God bless.
Thank you very much. Have a good day, guys.
I don't know who.
Bye, Friday.
I don't know who wants to go next. You want me to just remind you of the question?
Go on, repeat the question.
So the question that asks is, how much influence do you think your faith played in the career that you're in today?
There wasn't a I'm Christian, therefore I'm going to be a business analyst. That how the role it played is, it's more God has helped me to be good at this. therefore I'm going to pick this. That was more of the contribution of my faith to the choice of career. And it's also impacted me in terms of being in my career as a Christian business analyst, or as a Christian and a business analyst. So just the regular things that we talk about being a light and salt in your workplace. These are the things that Danielle mentioned earlier.
Thank you, Murray. If anyone wants to go next between you or Danielle and Manu.
Same as Amari, really. I didn't really have I wouldn't say it was like directly, I'm a Christian, I'm gonna go and do this. It's that I enjoyed science. And as I had mentioned earlier, I wanted to study medicine, which now that I'm older, I praise God that I didn't do it, because I'm just like, no, I wouldn't be able to. So this might, I don't know, this might be a bit. So I don't really completely agree with the medical system, like as a whole. So I think I would have gotten frustrated eventually, and I would have dropped out, and or I wouldn't be able to pretend that I agree with it for a long time, because I think medicine has its place. But I also think that God has given us many things to look after ourselves for preventative medicine, which obviously they don't really push as much. I mean, as a whole, because obviously the pharmacy companies, we are their customers. We make them the money. Sick people make money for them. So why would they want you to get better? Why would they give you those preventative measures like properly? Because even when you Google natural remedies, sometimes they're like, yeah, this doesn't work. They're like, say if you Google, I don't know, ginger for a sore throat or something like that, be like, it's said that this works for a sore throat, but it doesn't actually work. This hasn't been proven. But like, as Adventists, we do, and as Christians, we should believe that God has given us the means to look after ourselves. But at the same time, I do believe that medicine does have its place. I'm not like completely knocking medicine. So I would have been annoyed that I had done it. So I think my faith played a part, as in God was like, no, when I didn't get in, he was like, yeah, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. Do you know what I mean? And I think that I do want to do something in my career that is purposeful and helping people. So yes, I do work in healthcare, even though I don't necessarily agree with everything. But if I provide a result for somebody, for a doctor, then somebody's being treated for an ailment, even if it's not the way that I agree with. I mean, a lot of the careers that we're in, like in the background of it, it doesn't support Christianity. But at the end of the day, God has a plan for all of us. And yeah, that's that. I feel like I went off, but yeah.
No, thank you. You didn't go off. You didn't go. I'm here.
I think for me, just my journey into medicine, and then so like I'll quickly explain it. So for so long, I was born in South Africa, even though my family are originally from Ghana. And when we came on a holiday visa, and then my dad passed away. So then we were on a work permit for so long. And I actually started off doing biomed, and fortunately got transferred onto a medical course. My mum had been paying for my biomed course as a graduate entry, and that was like 18,000 a year. She was a cleaner, and the church were helping a little bit. She took out many loans, and I remember she was like, I'm so proud of you, but I can't pay for your medical course, because it was like 32 grand a year. Like she had barely tried with the 18 grand. So I remember just like crying about it and praying to God about it. And I weirdly got this idea to like contact my local MP, who I did. And then she like spoke to the Home Office, and then she gave us the contact details for a lawyer who I went to go see with Michael J. And then he like went through the case. And basically, long story short, through that, I was then able to like get my British passport and get my medical school fees paid for. So I think already I could see that God's hand was very big in directing me towards this career, because he moved mountains for me to be able to get here. And I think obviously medicine is a very like scientific career, and a lot of science does go against Christianity. But I think just sometimes it's about really emptying yourself of self and being like, all I know now, yes, is because I've read a book. But if you actually have an attitude of gratitude, it's like even the ability for me to be here is God himself. The ability for man to have created this knowledge is God. So I think directly my faith gives me hope. My faith gives me vim to like be at work, be present at work. But then indirectly, when I think about my ability to do so, I just know that I'm an empty barrel and God is using me to talk to these patients. And before every shift, I try and pray, and I'm like, God, these are your children. They're sick either because of the devil or because of things that they've done themselves, or because you want to create a testimony from this. Allow me to deliver healing, or allow me to deliver care in a way that suits your will. That's the way I allow it. I'm not going to lie. There's sometimes when I'm on pediatrics and I see little babies with cancer and I'm just like, nah, like what is going on? This is not it. But I think, I think those are the moments in which I find it very difficult. Like my faith is very, very tested and trialed. But I think there's going to be so many things in life that we're not going to have any answers for. And I remember when my mother died last year, actually, there was a text that was read to me, and it was like, the good die young because they're not ready for the evil in the world. So that gives me solace, and that gives me, that comforts me in moments where I do see situations in which I don't understand, like 1-year-old babies dying, or it's very hard. But I think faith guides you through the career, and then faith also helps you to be comforted when the career that faith has put you into allows you to question it as well. So there's many ways in which you can use faith in the Bible, either to help with your career or to give you questions when you're questioning things in your career. And that's how I use it, really.
Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing that, man. I didn't expect you to humble, but we generally appreciate it, and generally appreciate all of the contributions and all the questions, even the answers that you've been able to give today. And it's so interesting because I don't know where I've learned this phrase from, but there's a phrase that says you won't understand somebody's praise, their struggle, and it really is true, because I've realized from conversing with people, you can just think it's just a normal conversation. Next thing you know, both of you walk away from that conversation experience where your life will never be the same again. I can confidently say from speaking to you, Mari, even though I've known you from when I went to, church in Cambridge, Danielle, funny enough, this is probably the first time I actually speak to each other. I'm here, probably known you one of the longest, as well as Kwarting as well. It just goes to show that you never know what someone's going through, but the beauty of it is that all of our journeys will in some way meet in some way and be able to shape what we are today. But if anyone has any other further contribution, anything you want to add, just feel free to. But if you don't, please let me know. Okay, Murray, you got something to say?
Yeah, I'll just end with one thought. So we got young people tuned in today, and they're going to be at various stages of their life. I'm a youth leader at my church, and I also liaise with these young people, and I've tried to put myself back in when I was in their shoes. It's different because I'm in London, that they're not. So like all my experiences are like, yeah, we can't relate. But there are some things that all young people can relate to. And the journey I've been on since a teenager, I haven't talked about the struggle that it's and the journey that I've been on, but so you might think the way I'm talking about it with my concise answers, it's just been shh, but no, no, no. You know, there's been all kinds of twists and turns. The fact that I know Kingsley is a miracle because, as he said, we met at Cambridge SDA Church, and the only reason why I was at that church is due to God miraculously get me into to study at the University of Cambridge there, and so I'll finish with Psalm 23. Psalm 23, you know, we know the psalm off by heart, but you know that psalm, like you're gonna have highs, you're gonna have lows, but just trust that God is with you.
Thank you very much. I feel like I must now say, does anyone have any final words? You've already set the motion. Does anyone have any final words you want to say? Mummies, do you have any final words you want to say?
I think everything I want to say has been said. Just young people, believe in yourself, continue fighting for your dreams. Just be very intentional. Whatever you put your mind towards, you can achieve. There's power in vision, there's power in manifesting. If you say to yourself today that you want to be a doctor, you want to be an engineer, then you will achieve it. There's a concept that I'm learning even from the Bible and from self-development books, and that's to approach life with the end in mind. So if you think about who you want to be, how you want to behave, what you want your life to look like in 10 years now, that forms a blueprint to which you can look to every morning and realize how far you are from that goal or how close to it. So if you know you want to be like, I don't know, like you want to be rich, you want to have nice clothes, you want a good relationship with God, then it allows you to do small things from now in order to achieve that goal. So if you think about the end, it allows you to do things right now in order to achieve it. That's the way I approach life. I knew I wanted to be a doctor. So what did I do? I made sure I was studying every day. I knew I wanted to have a certain relationship with God. So that meant I was reading my Bible every day. Everything you honestly want, you can achieve. Do not believe what half your teachers say when they're like, you'll never be anything, because you will be everything. God's planted such a great seed in you. Just never give up. If you ever need any help and support, you have amazing youth leaders there for you, like Kingsley. I'm here myself. I'm Danielle Patton. Everyone's here if you want us to speak to you. We love you. We believe in you. And God's got a massive plan for you. So never, never be disheartened.
Thank you. Thank you. That was very heartfelt. And I love how we're all saying young people like we're not young ourselves. But yeah,
I'm an old woman now.
I don't believe that, but okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for your contributions. Yeah, and just thank you for agreeing to be a part of this program, because I know obviously you didn't know what to expect. I mean, I could have just blindsided you and asked you personal questions that would have just opened your eyes up. Obviously, I'm not that sort of person, but just thank you, to just allowing God to use you, because like I said before, there was actually two main reasons why I decided to do this program. So the first is that after speaking with a lot of young people, I'm realizing that they don't really know what it is they want to do. And usually whatever they want to do is geared either towards money or towards the influence of their parents. Obviously, you both know that either one of those combinations is never going to result in a good thing. And another thing that really actually struck me was that I read an article, I believe it was at the beginning of this year, which actually said that anyone that goes into university this coming September, they won't be able to pay off their student loan until they retire. The moment I saw that, I thought to myself, I mean, that just sounds like doom. At least with us, we know, 30 years, 20 years, give or take, if we just end up just falling into money, we can pay it off. But to be told that, well, actually not to be told, because I don't think it's been released out, but to find out you won't be able to pay your, your university until you're 60 something is, it's basically like might as well just put a tombstone on your career. And I just thought to myself, you know what? There must be another way for people to realize that, university is not the be and end. Not to say I'm basically shooting at university. I'm trying to say that just because you've gone to university to get a degree, not automatically assume that it's going to be from there. You have to learn to put in the work, learn to get transferable skills, you know, like Kwarting said, going to coding, like Mame said, going to social media, like Amari said, it's a case where this wasn't his original career plan. And even Danielle, it's a case where, you know, even you're starting to realize that, you know, this may not be the end goal. Now, it's beautiful that you guys have all said this because it really shows you that you can never say to yourself, you know what, I see myself doing this for 20 years. Because the moment you said that, it's like you've already kind of put a cap in your career. Because technically speaking, when you're in your career, you should be gaining transferable skills to work in multiple different capacities. So I guess the final thing I would say to everyone is that, you know, regardless of whatever career you want to go into, just seriously pray about it and obviously seek the advice of those that are that are around you. I think one thing that's not really made known quite a lot within the SDHS is that we are full of professionals. I'm pretty sure that there is a professional in every single career. Just a matter of that person opening up their mouth and saying, I'm an accountant, by the way. Oh, I'm working bioman, by the way. I'm working as a business analyst, by the way. But it's up to us to have that conversation with somebody. Otherwise, we will literally never know. So unless Danielle has something to say, no, I'm pretty sure she doesn't. Let's just have a final word of prayer to just end the program. Heavenly Father, I'd like to just thank you for blessing us with the opportunity just to be able to just speak with one another and just to be able to engage in this dialogue to talk about the various experiences that we've had in life as well as also had in our careers. Thank you, Lord, for just providing us with this platform. You know, this platform has been something on my mind for many, many years. I'm just grateful to just see it finally all come to fruition. I ask the Lord, you will just be with every single one of these panelists and that you'll bless them richly in all their careers and help them, Lord, to be able to exceed to grander and new heights, Lord. I also ask that you'll be with the rest of my team as well as also being with the program that's going to take place for the rest of the line, Lord, apart from obviously the last one. I ask that, Lord, you allow it to flourish and allow it to really realize its purpose and help others to allow their purposes to be redefined.